5 personal finance habits. I was going to do 10, but let's keep it simple. Why do we care? Okay, we don't just sacrifice for nothing. The only way this works is if you get clear on your long-term vision. That way you're able to modify your behavior in the meantime. Example, for me, there's nothing I care more about than starting a family. That's like the thing for me long term. So all of my actions right now, including where I live, how I invest my money, how I run my business, all of that is kind of built on that timeline, right? And I have multiple timelines and outlooks, but I'm clear on what I want. Now, this is an unsexy video. Only the people that are actually going to become successful will watch this all the way through because you need to have these habits. I'm also going to say a secret key phrase at some point inside of this video. If you hear it, comment it down below. I'm going to send somebody $100. Now, Mike Tyson, 50 Cent. What do people like this have in common? Mike Tyson, $300 million you to negative. You got 50 Cent, okay, $22 million in debt, which he's since earned his way out of, thankfully. But why is this a recurring theme? Okay, first of all, a lot of the spending issues that people have, it's a cultural thing. It's how they were brought up mostly, but we can make a conscious effort to change that, to change our behavior and to change how we think about personal finances. Because no matter how much money you make, trust me, you can outspend what you make. Even if you have $1 billion, that can go pretty quick on a few planes and a few boats. So let's start with the one that causes the most outrage, okay? Don't get triggered here. 50-50 after tax. Let's say you make $150,000 a year. That's about 100 grand after tax. You have to live on $50,000 and invest the other 50. Now, you do that math based on your current income, you might say that's not possible. If it's not possible, that doesn't mean that this ratio is incorrect. It means you don't bring in enough top line income. And while that might sound very aggressive, just understanding the formula here, you don't have to be here right now, but the goal is going to be to get there because the more you can save percentage-wise, it's going to help you get to where you want to go sooner. Now, a big business guy named Grant Cardone said a very aggressive version of this a long time ago. He says, if you pay the IRS 40%, you got to pay yourself 40%, which means you got 20% to live on. So 20% of your income is what you should live on. Now, I get it. That's difficult for most people and you can't do it based on your income, which means one of two things. Either you might need to move, you might have a really high cost of living area. Maybe that's something to look at. And most likely it's an income issue, which is actually a good thing because it's something that you control to some degree. And as you make more money, this should dilute. You don't have to keep spending 50% of what you make. Like nowadays, I live on about 10 to 20% of the money that I make. The rest of that gets invested in some format or put back into the business. That is how I spend my money. I have 2 homes. I travel multiple times every month and I donate a fair bit of money to causes that I care about. So that's that side of things. And also you can follow me on Instagram. I post a lot more fun stuff over there. Number 2 is no consumer or variable rate debt of any kind. No auto loans, no credit card loans, student loans are a little on the edge, nothing like that. So let's take a look at each of these. Credit cards. I actually do carry an outstanding balance every month that gets paid off with Amex. I have a personal platinum card and a business gold. We spend a lot of money inside of my business, right? We spend a lot of money on advertising and software, so we're gonna have to spend it anyways. I would rather get the points from that. Now, the problem most people have with credit cards is spending money they don't have, right? And thinking about it wrong. So it's kind of a personal habit issue. I've never had a problem with it in the business, so it's something I use because I get millions and millions of points. So in exchange, I don't have to pay for a lot of flights. I can do cool conversions. Recently, for an example, instead of having to spend $1,100 in cash on an economy flight from London to LAX, it's a long, crappy flight in coach, I got a $12,000 seat on the new United Polaris, which I'm a geek with airplanes. I wanted to fly on the plane and test out that seat. $12,000 seat. You wanna know how much money I paid? $0, okay? Because I could use a certain point conversion that was extremely cheap and I was able to just transfer some points through Amex. So there's different things you can do, travel hack, it works for me, but again, to each their own, just be careful. Now, when it comes to student loans, I'm not really all for college. I didn't even finish high school. That's not a brag or whatever. That's just my situation. I'm a big fan of going to college if there's a direct ROI. But if you're $80,000 deep with a literature degree that's almost done, yikes, so if there's a trackable ROI, your standard engineers, maybe software stuff, but engineers, nurse, your doctor or lawyer, any of that stuff, pretty standard. And now auto loans. Again, I'm not a big fan of anything. I start to despise anything that I have payments towards. So that's why I just don't do the financing. I understand if you need a family car and you don't have the money for it, but pay it off quickly. Most people use a loan as a way to justify a car that is too expensive. They make $60,000 a year and they buy a $70,000 car or $40,000. Like those are not acceptable ratios, right? I bought my first exotic car, Lamborghini, for $210,000 in cash when I was 18. When I was 19, I had spent $600,000 $100,000 on cars. I kept the ratio in check based on income. And I don't say that to brag at all, but to make a point. When you're purchasing a car in cash, it allows you to get a deal. Because if you're trying to finance and it might take 3 days, you're going to lose the deal to a cash buyer like myself. And when I go in there and I keep buying these cars in Arizona, local cars, private party, or running them through a Montana LLC, I can pay no sales tax. It allows me to close the deal quicker, and I'm not losing money on these cars. Like, I made money on the Lamborghini, I've made money on GTRs. Like, I've been able to drive my dream cars and make money, which you can't really do if you're financing or buying from a dealership and paying sales tax. Like, your cost is going up. So that's why I'm not a big fan on financing. Plus, the average interest rate on a used car over the last couple of years is 10.26%. So when you say, oh, I'm getting a 3%, yeah, but most people are not. And so it's just the wrong mindset. And I'm a big fan of no debt on that. Here's where I will have debt, okay? Real estate. Dave Ramsey, I'm sorry. I do enjoy some of your content. However, I'm very, very low leverage. I'm not a fan of the no money down. I don't do any of the crazy stuff, no variable stuff. I don't flip properties. I don't do any of that. My portfolio right now, I have about a 50% loan to value. I have a lot of equity sitting there, and some of my real estate guys say reposition that and go max it out again. I prefer my peace of mind. In fact, I'm actually paying down principal on one of my loans right now, which is going to make real estate guys cry, but because I can, I'm doing it slowly, like an extra 50 grand a year on this one. But over time, I would like to pay off a couple properties, maybe all of them, who knows? Like, it's just something for me where if I don't have another deal in the pipeline or something and I got extra cash coming in, let me just start chipping away, not putting all my money at it, but like, why not, you know? So those are things that are in line with my goals based on my timeline. So again, this can be different for everybody, and it should be. The third habit is removing the habit of stuff. Okay, I'm not big on stuff. You're not going to catch me at the mall shopping for lamps and shoes. Like, I do like one clothes run a year. I don't wear any fancy stuff. I hate shopping for things. I hate trying stuff on. Like, I just find a shirt I like and I order 20 of those and I'm good for a year or two. Like, that's my approach. But I don't like a lot of clutter and stuff, and it usually just costs you money and wastes time and wastes space. Other people, you might like things. I do have things I spend money on, absolutely. So I can't judge on that. But just eliminating stuff a little bit. It's all the meandering in the free time. Walking to the corner store and spending $6 on some Pringles. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that does add up. Again, it's all a ratio of how much money you spend. I'm not too worried about small things, but just keep it in check. Like, if you're spending money every single day, it just adds up. So just get rid of stuff. Like, don't be buying all these little trinkets. And the reason I say this is because most people get this habit and build it while they're broke, and it not only keeps them broke, but if they ever get some money, then that just scales, right? They're just going to spend more because they have more, and it's just a bad cycle. All right, guys, let's change the color. Ready? The seed phrase. Comment it down below. Somebody's going to get $100. The seed phrase is no more lamps. Comment it down below. I'm sorry, I'm stupid like that. I like to do fun stuff, but let's send somebody $100, make somebody's day a little better. All right, number 4 is an interesting one, and this is something I actually do. House hack when you buy. So I'm a big fan of real estate. I own some of it, not a ton. It's probably about 60 or 70 units. I love buying stuff, but when you buy a personal property, it's not really an asset, or it doesn't spit off any cash flow, that's for sure. It's out of pocket. But you can actually get into a property and lower your monthly expenses of rent by house hacking, having 1, 2, maybe 3 people move in with you. So I'll give you an example. Up until recently, I had a friend living in my vacation home in Arizona. It's a large enough home. It's 5 bedrooms. I'm never there, maybe 3 months out of the year. He took 2 of the bedrooms. They were empty anyways. One is a bedroom, one is an office. And he was just living, working there for a while. His rent that he was paying covered 90% of the expenses on the property. So I'm spending a few $100s. It's free. I'm paying down equity on the mortgage, and that's my vacation home. Now, it's somebody I trust with my life. It's one of like the 4 people I would ever live with. However, doing that helped him out, helped me out. Perfect. I've done that in multiple properties of mine. Okay, and reducing the expenses significantly, especially when I'm not there much. If it's just a vacation home like that, it was a perfect scenario. Okay, now it's empty and that's fine. I'm not trying to fill it up, and my other couple of friends live in different parts of the world. They're not going to have a place there. So it's fine. It'll sit empty. I'm super protective of my environment, and I would much rather spend money personally and have it sit empty than to have some random person or somebody I don't trust. That's just my choice. However, house hacking can be a great way to get into real estate, start owning something, and reduce your expenses. Maybe, dare I say, maybe even make a little bit of money, right? And number 5, this is where we get fun. Okay, increase your income. Going back to the first one that probably pissed a few people off of, the 50-50 split. Increase your income, but don't fall for a scheme. Okay, no schemes. Okay, you don't want to be scheming, first of all, and you don't want to get schemed. Okay, this is the interesting part. If you've been trying to learn coding, okay, you're trying to become a software guy. Great, they make a lot of money. Okay, but if you're 6 months in and you decide to start an e-commerce store, you just schemed yourself, because the grass is always greener. except it's not. Okay, you can't just jump from thing to thing to thing. And as long as the thing you were doing was legal, ethical, and it works for anybody else, that means you can make it work for you. So when you pick something, stick with it, because it takes a lot of time to become an expert. Like, it took me years to start getting comfortable with real estate. It took me years to be good at e-commerce. Now, I don't even consider myself great, but I'm really good at what I do on that side. It takes a lot of time to become an expert. And I think that people just jump from thing to thing too much because they see how much work is involved. They're like, nah, they see an ad over here. Ooh, day trading looks way easier. Look at this guy. He made all this money. Guys, come on. Common sense. I get it, but just calm down. So do what you want, but I definitely recommend these or some version of these. Figure out where you want to go, figure out what the most logical way to get there is, and then adjust your actions accordingly. So these are unsexy things. I get it, but I've been able to retire on paper in my early 20s. I build really cool, fun businesses that I enjoy. I bought my grandpa a high-end luxury car that was super awesome. I travel very frequently. I have multiple homes. Those are things for me that are important, and I invest a lot of my money, which I really enjoy the investments. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out in some way. I think the personal finance, it does get talked about, but it doesn't get viewed as enough because it's not sexy. People aren't clicking on it. This video won't get 6 million views, maybe, who knows, but it won't. Like, it's not as sexy. So I do want to say a quick acknowledgement to everybody who's still watching at this point in the video. Like, just keep learning this stuff. You're on the right track. So hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.